everybody. My name is Maia welcome to MECCAcon's Independent Film Festival. Today, this is part one of our Black Filmmakers series. Today we have Zachary Cunningham, Wi-Moto Nyoka, we have Marcus Fenham, and we have Kennikki Jones-Jones, Jones times 2.
Jones.
Today we're doing a brief panel introducing filmmakers that's specific on this panel. Some of them are newer to filmmakers, some of them have been doing it for a while. So I'm gonna let them introduce themselves individually, starting with Zachary, and let everybody know where they're from.
My name is Zachary Cunningham. I'm from the east side of Detroit, and I directed Right On this Panelists Festival.
And what other film that you won multiple awards for?
And Little Church that played at MECCAcon last year, and I've won multiple awards for it. That's crime, so eloquently stated.
Right. Hi, my name is Wi-Moto Nyoka. I live in New York and Brooklyn, and mine is Wham, which is part of a larger series called Cold Sweat. It's a horror anthology series for young audiences, so kind of like an Are You Afraid of the Dark type of vibe.
My name is Marcus Ferrell, Marcus Faces Ferrell, and I am executive producer of a film, Something for Sinitra. It is my first film I've executive produced, but other than that, I've been a part of several productions that has won a lot of awards. One of them was 15 Down, and it's won probably about, it's still going, and I got a lot of movies that's actually been produced with big names, small names. And I do filming for a living, actually, and it's an awesome journey, I must say.
I'm Kennikki Jones-Jones, and I'm from Detroit. I like to say I'm right in the middle, where Hamtramck is, but I have a Detroit services. Anyway, I directed Knock Knock. It is a horror thriller, and it's here. This is the last Detroit showing. I'm really excited. It's shown a couple of times here. I had a lot of opportunities to have friends and family see it, and it was inspired by a really horrific story that happened in 2015 here in the city.
Okay, so we'll start with Wi-Moto. What started you into filmmaking? Like, what was your process, your entry process, and how hard was that for you? And specifically, being from New York, how hard was that for you to be taken seriously as a new filmmaker?
I mean, I don't know if I'm taken seriously as a new filmmaker or at all, but I came at it from a theater background, so my training is in music theater, and so it sort of evolved from that practice. Very much, let's say, I was doing it regional theater all around, and then I started getting callbacks for bigger projects, and I really just was not very inspired by the work that was available for, a young actress of color at the time. So that's how I started writing, and for a while it was actually sort of I went into just songwriting and music writing as a full-time musician, because I felt like that was a place where you could really just make your own work and you could tell your own story, oddly enough, if music would be that. And I guess, or if I, to reflect on it, it's really the use of media in music that led me into making films, because music videos can be a short film if you want it to be, or it could just be like a series of random pictures of you on the beach. Like, it all kind of depends on what kind of music that you're making. But there is a lot of artistic license and a lot of video work and storytelling that is involved in putting together an album, releasing that album, having the visuals that go with it, what are you going to do in your concerts, how are you going to tell the story. And that was eventually how I ended up kind of going back to theater, and then eventually into screenwriting and into filmmaking. I mean, I'm a screenwriter, so I don't direct or anything like that, and I do produce sometimes, but it's really by accident. It's mostly because no one else wants to. It's not what I do. So Wham is in MECCAcon right now. It screens at 1:45 in like like, I don't know, like 20 minutes or something like that. And I happened to produce that, but that I had help because I'm really focused on writing.
And I first met you because one of the films that I screened quite a few years ago was centered on comic books.
Right.
So what made you decide to do one of your first films centered on comic books? Because it was partially animated.
Right, yeah. I mean, at the time I was collaborating a lot with Women in Comics NYC. And it's, again, I think it's just a crossover of storytelling and costume and world building that really attracted me to that. And I was really into the idea, or am really into the idea of making new archetypes and making new iconography, not just in world building, but to create a space for folks where it's like, yeah, that's me. And also because I know how casting works, I'm like, okay, if I draw this character and that character's name is Akila and I drew her with braids, like you have to cast somebody who looks like that. And so it was also kind of a way of like, comic book has a way of making things stick, making things stay. You know, Batman is always the same type of guy because it was drawn that way. So every Bruce Wayne has to look like this. And so I wanted to use that. I wanted to leverage that power.
And what about you, Marcus? What got you into filmmaking, and why was your path different being from the South?
Oh yeah, I never said where I was from. I'm from Alabama. It's ironic how I really got into
Specifically from Alabama. How,
Fairfield,
how was that a
Alabama.
challenge and a plus?
Ooh, Alabama itself is not even taken serious. So yeah, but it's funny how I got into it was because as a kid, well, I'm still very animated, so I can't help it. It's a part of my personality. But when I came to college and stuff like that, I didn't even want to go to school. I just wanted to get a job right out of high school. But my parents were like, no, you need to get away from here because I might not look it, but I hung out with a lot of hoodlums. And my folks was like, get the heck from out of here. So they sent me to Alabama A&M. I didn't know about picking a major. I was like, what? And then I ended up going there. My parents, due to the fact I'm so animated, my parents already picked my major for me. They was like, yo, telecommunications. I'm like, what the hell is that? I had no clue what telecommunications was. So then I would start going to classes. And I'm like, oh, this is acting. Oh, this is filming. So at first I got into acting and I got into dancing, was like the best actor on campus. Like every year they always wanted me to be William Hooper Council, the founder of Alabama A&M. And the reason why they loved me so much, it was a Shakespeare's play that we had to orchestrate and create. When we had, they gave us a list of just a whole bunch of Shakespeare stuff, and they made us make an actual play out of it. And one of the guys that was actually my partner quit like at the very end of it. But before we were shown, but I knew he was, so I studied his lines too, just because I just had a feeling he was just gonna flake on me. So due to the fact that he quit, man, he had the best lines of them all, and every single Shakespeare line that I did, I actually played it out to the point of, at the very end, I had to be a old man. I was an old man, and I reversed myself in time. So I was sitting down, acting like an old man till I stood up, and then I'm already short though, but I was making myself shorter and shorter to the point I laid down on the ground as if I was a baby and ended the whole thing. And they had an encore. They was like, yo, this guy's fire. So I was getting into acting, but then someone introduced me to this music studio place, and this guy was like, you know how much money you can make behind the camera? Tell me. And he told me that, and I was like, okay, bet. Let me see how much money I got in the bank. Yeah. So I just hustled a little bit, bought a camera, started filming. Majority of it was trash, but it was fun doing it because, you know, you learning. The next thing I know, someone robbed me. Broke into my house, stole all my stuff, including my camera, laptop, and all this stuff there. And I was devastated. I was sick in the head. So what happened was my very next paycheck, I was working at Verizon Wireless. I was like, okay, I got this much. The camera and lens I need is this much, which is the camera I got right now, the 5D Mark III. And it was first lens I had was a 50 millimeter because someone was like, that's the best one to start with. I'm like, bet. Didn't notice I had to always learn the focus thing because I was so used to the amateur way of autofocus, but I couldn't do it with the 50 millimeter. But I learned fast though. But for me to buy it, I was short by like $1,000 or so. And so I called my dad. I was like, Dad, yo, I need this much money, whoop for the third. And he was like, all right, cool. So he gave me the money, not knowing that the money, I literally spent my whole entire paycheck and the money he gave me to be able to buy the camera and the lens. For the next 2 weeks, I had to survive off my friends. I was like, hey man, what you cooking today? Yeah, buddy. I'm finna pull up. Like, they knew I was broke, but shoot, they knew what I was doing too. So it was like it was a wonderful thing. I had no laptop to edit on, and I had booked a gig. And when I booked this gig, I still didn't have my camera, no lenses, but I knew I ordered it. So I was like, yo, I think they should come in on this particular day. If it come in the day before the event, I'm good. Okay, it didn't come the day before the event, so I was like, oh fuck. I done got paid, and I don't have no way to film this shit. I'm finna have to return this money. So, right when I'm finna call the customer, get a knock on the door. I'm like, shit, who the hell is this? UPS, delivering the camera. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Fuck, I ain't got no lens, though. And he drove off. I'm like, man, I'm still fucked. Drove back around, man, I forgot this. Man, I'm gonna shoot you. So, I almost got to fight with the UPS man, but I hugged him at the end of the day because, you know, I was happy about that. So, but I love filming so much. I was making decent money. I was still working at Verizon, but I knew I could do so much more. I had to decline so much because I had to still work my 9 to 5. Told my dad, I like, Dad, I'm finna quit my job. He's like, what the heck? Yeah, I need to go hard on this film life. He was like, do you have enough clientele to even make it that far? I'm like, nope. He was like, son, hey, I support you. I was like, what? Bam, hugged him. So, wrote in my 2 weeks notice, put in my 2 weeks notice at Verizon Wireless, worked for them for 7 years. I turned it in on my birthday actually. Like, they asked me several times, like, you sure? Like, yeah. You sure? I'm like, yeah. Man, they let me work 2.5 weeks. Like, they gave me an extra week just because every day I came in after I was supposed to have quit. They was just like, you want to work again? And just put me in on another shift until I was like done and just never came back. That was 4 years ago. Okay. Yeah. So I'm next year I'll be approaching my 5th year. They say if you make it 5 years, then you somewhat successful. So I'm almost there. Trust me, the struggle is still real, but I just know I'm just better at managing, working with more people. I learned that you can't do anything by yourself. Mm-hmm. That's like impossible. Even if you think you do it by yourself, you still need customers to help you move what you're trying to move. But that's me to today, man. I just got 2 companies, one of them called the Gumbo Network, the other one called Iconic Images. Iconic Images mostly focus on films. The Gumbo Network is a collage of all types of great information and footage, and eventually we're going to have a platform for people like yourselves to put your work on as well. That's my story.
Okay. And speaking of being all alone, our last student that I waited to the end because I'm petty. They're both from Detroit or Detroit area, and because I'm petty, I must rectify that. A lot of times, artists, activists, people in general from Detroit, you know, a lot of times we feel that we're alone because we get so shunned from the country, we get so scapegoated by the country, we feel that we have to work 9,000 times harder than other people. So I'm gonna let Zachary and Kennikki tell their story briefly, not as long as Marcus. We love you, Marcus. We're gonna let them tell briefly how they got into the industry, and more importantly, the setbacks as well as the pluses of being from Detroit. You know, how that affected their pathway to get where they're at right now.
So I got into film via poetry.
Okay.
I started writing poetry when I was like 16.
Rest in peace, Light Shining.
Yeah, I started writing when I was like 16. Probably around like 23, I had just came back home from college or whatever, from Hampton, and I wanted to create visuals to go along with my poetry. And so I bought a camera, and me and my friend LaToya, I always say it's LaToya's fault why I got into the film. I went to her, I was like, hey, I want to do this documentary based on these poems I wrote about Detroit, called Detroit. And so I worked with her, she filmed the whole thing, she edited the whole thing, but I just loved the process so much that I kind of fell in love. And then probably over the next year, I ended up kind of just immersing myself into like film. So I kind of taught myself how to film, I taught myself like what lenses do, kind of how to write screenplays. Like my first screenplay was a poem that I wrote, and I just converted it into a screenplay. I guess you could just say from there, the rest is kind of history. And I just fell in love with just cinema in general. It was just, it's like certain kind of hallmarks. Like I remember the first time I saw Killer of Sheep by Charles Burnett. I saw In the Mood for Love by Wong Kar-wai, and I was like, man, that's what I want to do. You know what I mean? I was like, oh man, like that's exactly what I want to do, like with black faces. You know what I mean? And so really, just as I've gone on, it's just more so just trying to kind of like, what can I add to cinema with my voice? I feel like all the greats kind of do that, so I just try to honor them with the work that I do.
And what was your specific pathway being from Detroit?
So my specific pathway was the people, I guess. Like I got a lot of support. I'm a preacher's kid, so that kind of comes along with like certain expectations. And so like when I picked up a camera, exactly, like on the east side, in the hood, like so when I go to church, I got this camera around my neck, and people like, oh, Zach got a camera. So like then when I put out my first thing, it's like, oh, okay. Like he got, it's kind of rough around the edges, but he got some perspective, because I was saying things that they didn't really expect me to say. Yeah, I mean, being from Detroit is hard. I mean, just because, so me, I was like one of those kids to where I didn't grow up poor, but we weren't super rich. So it was kind of like, it's just kind of difficult. Like, so like, it's a lot of things that I wanted to talk to about. My homies didn't really care about those things, you know what I mean? So I'm a first generation Detroiter too. My parents are from the South. So like, even though I'm from Detroit, I don't really have roots here, you know? So I kind of had to build my own audience, and I had to find people essentially who fucked with what I wanted to talk about. And it's been a long time. I released my first short in 2013, and just kind of been building that ever since. And now I kind of have like a solid little audience that kind of like, where people are like, oh man, I just want to see what he has to say. And now that's building from beyond Detroit to like a regional and, you know, just around the country type audience. So.
Okay, and what about you, Kennikki?
Everybody sounds so eloquent. Let's see. So I got into filmmaking. I too started in theater. So as an actor, I went to Wayne State and graduated, and I performed more locally. But I've always liked horror, and I always wanted to be a part of just kind of the production of filmmaking before acting. And so I went to Specs Howard. So before, a long time ago, it was School of Broadcast Arts. Now it's Media Arts. So it was a long time ago, and I just love the camaraderie that comes with working and getting things accomplished as a team. It was just so fulfilling, and you just don't feel left behind, because I was a teen mother, so for a long time I was a little lost in kind of figuring out what direction to go into and fighting against statistics. So I was just, once I found like a home within the community of performing and productions and all of that, I just felt like I was in the right place. So once I started to direct for theater, I started to kind of realize I don't know, my potential, I guess, or just kind of my calling. I don't know, I would do different festivals, and I started to create like a style, and I just was wrapped up at the moment. So I wanted to go to film school, but it just wasn't affordable. And then finally, my husband got a job where he can travel. So I went to the film school that Barry Jenkins went to, Florida State University. And I think I honed in on my voice a little bit more and kind of trusted my instincts. And that gave me the space to do it. And you just feel like you got to go away sometimes to discover who you are and then come back home. And I was hoping to go a little bit longer, but my dad passed away right before graduating. So I came back here, and now I'm trying to figure out how to do it here, which is what I always wanted to do. I want to have a hub here always and just explore the world.
And what made you have your subject matter for your film? Because your film, you know, is pretty deep.
Yeah.
Most people weren't ready for the ending of Knock. So what made you focus on child mentality
Well,
and child abuse?
so when I saw the story, so I have an 8-year-old, and when he was first born, somehow I got obsessed with watching just all these news clips of just these acts of abuse that was happening against children by their parents. And I just went down this rabbit hole, and I would get really depressed. And my husband would be like, don't watch the news, don't watch the news. I'm like, but it exists. How, me not watching it doesn't.
Mental illness in the Black community.
Yes, it doesn't.
Especially what your movie is about.
It's happening. So the most viral or visceral news clipping was of Michelle Blair. And it was the woman who killed 2 of her 4 children. And those children were stuffed in a freezer and not discovered for 2 years. And so when they discovered the children, it was only because she was being evicted. And her eviction, as that was happening, she was babysitting other people's kids in the complex she was staying. And so other people trusted her. Her nickname was Angel. And so I couldn't understand how us in a society where we say it takes a village to raise a child are failing. There's no village. But we still kind of have these cloths or these facades, a mask on. And so when I saw her on the news, she was very angry. She was, but also very kind of vehemently protecting her or defending her decision to murder her children because she thought that they were killing the other kids. So I thought that that was kind of like astonishing. And so then I looked up her background, or I looked up her Facebook page. And her Facebook page, she was the complete opposite person. She was like, her hair was all done up, all curly. On the news, her hair was short. She was kind of very kind of masculine. She was just a totally different person. And now I can see the angel they were speaking of. And so I just thought, how, as a culture, how can we see each other, not see the pain that's happening within another person that's living right next to you? Like, you know, if you live in the hood, in the projects, those walls are not built for privacy. You hear it. And then I remembered my son, who's here, who just walked in. He's old now. He's like 20-something. We were down south, and he was acting up in the grocery store. And he had to be about 3. And he was just, and I spanked him. And this woman came to me, and she said, don't you do this. It was a white woman. And I was like, well, you want to take him? And I just, but that was never like, I used to be insulted by that woman for a long time. And I used to be like, how dare she say something to me? But that's the problem when we don't say stuff to each other. I actually, because she said that to me, it did create something in my mind that I had to kind of resort to when disciplining my children. Like, oh, maybe I shouldn't go over. You know, it's like she checked me, so now I had to check her, but then I had to check myself to check, you know, like and so I feel like there's just this rabbit hole you go down, and I wanted to be that, I wanted to check myself. That's what I'm like, checking ourselves. Like, how do we check ourselves? How do we see what's happening? How are we looking at our children? How are we watching other people treat their children? And how are we treating them? And so, yeah, that's kind of what happened.
Well, I definitely want to thank you all for not only being here at the panel, participating in the panel, but definitely having 4 outstanding films. I'm not saying that just because you all are on this panel, but you all 4 of you all actually had outstanding films, and it definitely was an honor for me to have your films as selection for MECCAcon Film Festival 2019. And thank you so much. Any questions from the beautiful audience? I know there's like 5 million people in here. Sean Antoine, shout out to Sean Antoine the second, third.
Congrats to all y'all on completing your films and congrats on the festival selection. I just want to know what's next for everybody. What's the next steps? What do y'all hope to do and what are y'all like working towards right now? So
So for me, I think features for me is the next step. Like I think just my voice, I think it'll fit well in the feature space. So since my last film I showed here last year, Little Church, I've written 4 feature scripts. And with the current film, Right On, we had like our own kind of private premiere about, what was that, like a month and a half ago. And I actually got like a EP who's kind of on board with like 2 of my next projects. So it's really just picking which one actually works. And yeah, that for me, that's the next thing. I have a homie who's a studio executive, and he was just like, man, just put all your life into a feature. Like that you really have nothing else to prove. And I kind of was already feeling that. And so I think I want to take that step. I want to take that challenge.
And to make a feature.
Making a feature film. Yeah. A good one, not a bad one. Making a good feature film is very, very difficult. And yeah, so especially being here in Detroit, I think that's kind of what separates you from others.
And one thing I will say before they are answered, I love feature films, and then I also love short films. And one great thing about making short films that a lot of really established filmmakers have told me, if you make a really bomb short film, you can shop it, you can get it funded, and then other people can spend their own money to do your feature film. So y'all want to think about that. So like, short films are not worse than feature films, just like feature films are not worse than short films. You know, make your short film and get somebody else's bag to make your feature. I'll go ahead with the rest of the line. I just have to add that for the packed audience that we have here.
So, WHAM is the chapter 1 in a series for young audiences, and I'd really like to have that be picked up so I can finish the series. A short film for each of the boroughs, and you know, it centers a team of young people that fight the big bad, and then at the end, all the stories come together, but you don't know until you get to the last borough, and then it's like the defenders, essentially, like junior defenders. So that's the vision, and I've had a couple of conversations with some distributors, so I'm just trying to like sell it, essentially. So that's what's happening there. So really going deep into television, because I write horror and sci-fi, and I want to just continue on that path. And the same thing with theater. So I actually have a supernatural play that's currently being workshopped to start in November in New York. So that's on the docket already, and just taking that further so I can get a full production for that show. And then I'm getting into writing some short stories because I'm looking to get published as well. So just a deep dive into horror writing and sci-fi writing. That's what's on next.
Well, the next thing I'm really working on now is get my Gumbo network really pushed because it's blowing up really well. It's a big collage of awesome content that we create. We're going to all the events right now in Huntsville, Atlanta, Nashville. We just go to places, document and make awesome. I make beats as well, and then I'll make a beat and I'll just put it out there. Or I'll find a local artist that needs some pushing and I'll put their music behind it. And it's a way just to spread other people's content as well.